what's up? I am Michelle B, and in this video I want to share with you some motivational, change your life kind of books that are on my reading list for 2019. So something that I want to do more of in 2019 is to read with more intention, especially when it comes to self-development, self-growth books. This channel is obviously all about living your life with intention, and when it comes to books, I think reading with intention means actually reading books that are relevant to whatever your current situation might be. So for me, I've chosen books that are relevant to my word of the year, which is freedom, and I've chosen books relevant to just the way that I want to feel in 2019. I haven't actually bought all of these books yet. What I'm actually going to do is try and order them from my library, like so that my library has them all in for me to borrow. And then throughout the year, hopefully I can just borrow them, or some of them I might buy, depends how we go. So without further ado, let's get into the books. So the first book is called How to Be Yourself, Quiet Your Inner Critic, and Rise Above Social Anxiety. So in my video on how to be more confident in 2019, I talked about some of my fun social struggles that I deal with, and I talked about how in 2019 I wanted to choose courage over comfort. So this book is for anyone that is like shy or has struggled with social anxiety in the past or at present. It was written by a clinical psychologist who is actually the person behind The Savvy Psychologist, which I found out when I was like doing a little bit more digging into the book. The Savvy Psychologist is a podcast which is actually really good. I would recommend it. I'll link it down below. I believe that social anxiety is actually her expertise, which makes me feel a little bit more trusting in this book. I think a lot of people struggle to be themselves in front of other people, some people more than others. For me, I've made a lot of progress over time, but I still feel like I'm very guarded. I still have bouts of anxiety, and I still struggle to connect with other people. The description of the book, or the description of the author, talks about how it is science-backed and zero judgment, which I feel like that just speaks to my soul. Like scientifically based, non-judgy, I just feel like it's written for me. We love a good non-shamey book based on science. From all the reviews, it sounds like a really good book, so I'm super excited to read it. I think it'll be super action-based based on her podcast, so it'll be something that I can actually put into play rather than read it and feel inspired and then not have anything to do with it. The second book is called The E-Myth Revisited: Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. This sounds like legitimately the most boring book ever. I know. I've seen this book around everywhere, and I've always just been like, no, I'm not gonna read that. It looks like it's from the 80s, and it's probably filled with terrible information about the internet based on the word like e-myth. I'm like, However, as they say, don't judge a book by its cover. This book has been recommended by actually a lot of very influential people with thriving businesses. And it's all about working on your business as opposed to in your business, which is what I want to do more of in 2019. And by my business, I mean like my YouTube channel and everything that surrounds it. A lot of it sounds like it's about systemizing, making your life easier, making it so that you have to work less, which is obviously what I'm all about if you've watched my Reset Your Life series. So this book was chosen to back up my word freedom. The next book is called Rising Strong as a Spiritual Practice, and it is by Brene Brown. We had to have some Brene Brown on this list. So something that I've always felt like I've lacked in my life is some form of spirituality. So I actually grew up in a religious family, fell out of religion when I was like, I don't know, 13 or something. I have absolutely nothing but respect for anyone who is religious in any way, shape or form, but in saying that, I'm not interested in going back to traditional religion. However, I feel like not having a religion has really like squashed any spirituality in me. I am a very practical person, which you guys would have picked up from a lot of my videos, no doubt. So Brene feels like a super practical person. She feels like someone that I can kind of relate to, so I'm hoping that this book will give me some sort of way to work on creating a form of spirituality in my life that feels right for me. This probably isn't one that like directly supports my goals, but it is something that I'm really interested in doing. The next book is The 4-Hour Workweek. This is by Tim Ferriss, and if you haven't heard of it, that's wild. This is another businessy book. I always used to think of Tim Ferriss along the same lines as Gary Vee. Gary Vee is great, but I also find him really overwhelming and like hustle, 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 and I'm like, you scare me. I think that lifestyle is really good for some type of people, just not for my type of people. But recently I've been discovering that Tim Ferriss is actually a lot softer than Gary Vee. I don't know if softer is the right word, but less overwhelming, which has been a nice discovery. So I really want to read this particular book because it focuses on my word freedom. I don't literally want to work 4 hours a week. I'm not interested in like outsourcing to India or wherever it is that I know he talks about in the book, but I do want to work less and achieve more. I think that is always the goal. And I know that it can be done effectively, so hopefully this book will be helpful. The next book is called Difficult Conversations: How to Discuss What Matters Most. So this one's mainly around my courage over comfort kind of goal or intention for 2019. I really want to learn how to approach difficult conversations from a mature perspective, partly because they really scare me. I'm bad at confrontation, like a lot of people, and partly because I want to learn to be more open about my concerns, my thoughts, and my feelings in relationships, because I know that that leads to far healthier relationships in the long run. As an aside, I also want to read the book called Thank You for the Feedback, which is by the same author. Especially as a YouTuber, I get a lot of feedback on my videos. Some of it is good feedback but poorly delivered. Some of it is bad feedback but very poorly delivered. I can't control what someone is going to comment on my video, but I can control how I react to it. And in 2019, I want to react to it in a little bit more of a mature way, because sometimes I'm not so mature, especially when it's unnecessary feedback. And also to be able to control my internal reaction to it a little bit more effectively as well, which I hope that book will help with. If you haven't already watched it, I have a book on how to read way more in 2019. I'll have that linked on the screen. All the things that I talk about in that video have literally changed the reading game for me. So if you do want to read more this year, definitely check that out. I'll also have a link list to all the books that I mentioned. I appreciate you guys so much. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you very soon.